when one of the most conservative, Republican, Federalist judges writes the scathing opinion using the soaring rhetoric we come to expect from Judge Wilkinson on the Fourth Circuit to tear down Donald Trump.
You know, things are getting weird when Trump's own team starts jumping ship. But what happens when that ship jumper is a Reagan-appointed conservative judge who's been playing for Team Right Wing for over 40 years? Judge Wilkinson just dropped a nuclear bomb on Trump that nobody saw coming. A scathing 7-page takedown that's got conservative circles freaking out. This isn't just any judge either. This is a dude who practically invented the conservative playbook Trump's been using. Talk about biting the hand that feeds you. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great. Thank you so much. Now, back to the video. So who exactly is this Judge Wilkinson guy, and why should we care that he's mad at Trump? Imagine if Darth Vader's dad suddenly showed up and started telling him off for being too evil.
It was such a scathing rebuke, but yet with soaring language which hit right at the Constitution by a constitutional scholar who has written books in order to encourage judges to restrain themselves.
That's basically what's happening in the conservative legal world right now. Judge J. Harvey Wilkinson III has been sitting on the Fourth Circuit Court of Appeals since 1984. Let that sink in. The man started judging when Trump was just a mouthy real estate developer with bad hair instead of a mouthy ex-president with bad hair. We're talking about 4 decades of conservative judging. This guy has been on the bench so long, he probably has a butt-shaped crater in his chair. Reagan put Wilkinson in power back when "Make America Great Again" just meant bringing back disco and perms. He's what political scientists call old guard Republican energy, the kind that wears bow ties unironically and thinks Fox News is too flashy. When ChatGPT gets asked to design the perfect Republican judge, it basically spits out Wilkinson's resume. Supreme Court clerk, Justice Department Civil Rights Division veteran, the whole conservative legal dream package. This isn't just some random judge. Wilkinson is basically conservative legal royalty. Think of him as the judicial equivalent of your grandpa, who still has a Reagan-Bush '84 bumper sticker on his Cadillac and complains that kids these days don't understand the value of a dollar. The man's conservative credentials are so solid they could stop a bullet. For his entire career, Wilkinson has been preaching the conservative gospel of judicial restraint, the idea that judges should basically shut up and color within the lines. He's spent decades wagging his finger at other judges who try to make policy from the bench. The guy has made an entire career telling other judges to stay in their lane and not get too political. He was basically the hall monitor of the federal courts, constantly writing articles and opinions about how judges shouldn't try to be lawmakers. Republicans loved this guy so much they kept putting him on Supreme Court shortlists. He was their golden boy, their judicial MVP. When conservatives needed someone to give a speech about how the Constitution isn't a choose-your-own-adventure book, Wilkinson was their go-to guy. Trump and his legal team probably thought they had Wilkinson firmly in their pocket, just another old conservative judge who'd look the other way when they started bending the rules. But it turns out there's one thing this old-school conservative hates more than activist judges, and that's presidents who act like they're above the law. Trump discovering this must have been like when a toddler realizes the nice old grandpa who always gives them candy also has a really scary, angry voice. When Wilkinson suddenly turned on Trump, legal experts called it a seismic event in the legal world. This is the equivalent of the straight-laced grandfather who's never had a drink suddenly creating a viral TikTok account with millions of followers. Nobody saw it coming. It's like watching Mitch McConnell breakdance or Ted Cruz grow a conscience. It's just not something you expect to see in your lifetime. Imagine Trump's shock when this conservative dinosaur suddenly grew teeth and bit him right in his executive privilege. The man who's spent his entire judicial career telling courts to mind their own business just wrote a 7-page judicial smackdown saying Trump's administration crossed a line that threatens our entire system of government. That's like having your most reliable yes man suddenly stand up at a meeting and tell you your ideas are garbage. That 7-page judicial smackdown didn't come out of nowhere. It was triggered by a case so outrageous, it made Judge Wilkinson break his 40-year silence. When Trump's officials deported a man who had explicit court protection, they weren't just breaking the law, they were testing if presidents have to follow court orders at all. Let me tell you about Kilmer Abrego Garcia, the guy whose case made this bow tie-wearing conservative judge go nuclear. Back in 2019, Garcia received something pretty important, a court order specifically protecting him from deportation to El Salvador. This wasn't some technicality or loophole. The man faced legitimate gang threats that could have gotten him killed if sent back. The court recognized this danger and gave him legal protection, which should have been the end of the story. But Trump's immigration officials looked at that court order and basically said, whatever, shipping Garcia off to El Salvador. Not a typo, folks. They took a legal document saying, don't deport this guy, and treated it like those terms and conditions we all click agree to without reading. They straight up ignored a direct judicial command and sent Garcia packing to the very place where his life was in danger. When the case made its way up to the Supreme Court, the highest legal authority in the land officially declared the deportation illegal, not questionable, not problematic, illegal, full stop. Game over, right? Time for Trump's team to admit they messed up and bring Garcia back? Nope. When called out on this illegal deportation, their response wasn't, oops, our bad, or we'll fix this immediately. Instead, they claimed they had absolutely no power to bring Garcia back once he was in El Salvador. Yes, the same government that can find you if you don't pay $12 in taxes from 2007 suddenly became completely helpless when it came to locating one guy they illegally kicked out of the country. The same administration that bragged about its immigration enforcement capabilities now wanted everyone to believe they were utterly powerless. It's like breaking someone's window and then claiming you don't know how to pay for repairs because you forgot how money works. This case represented something far more sinister than just one deportation gone wrong. It exposed what Wilkinson saw as Trump's real endgame, not just winning individual legal battles, but actively undermining the entire system of checks and balances. The judge recognized a pattern where Trump's administration regularly defied court orders and exhibited what Wilkinson specifically called a contemptuous attitude toward the judiciary. Judge Wilkinson's warning was crystal clear. If the executive branch can just ignore court orders and deport non-citizens, then what's stopping them from doing the same to American citizens? And once they've shipped you off, they'll just say, sorry, not our problem anymore. It's like giving your toddler a timeout, only to have them respond by burning down the house and declaring themselves the new parent. This wasn't Trump playing 4D chess with immigration policy. This was Trump testing whether presidents have to obey judges at all. It was basically Trump asking, what if I just didn't follow the law? Who's going to stop me? And that's why Wilkinson, who spent decades preaching judicial restraint, finally had to speak up. Because when presidents start ignoring courts, we're not talking about policy disagreements anymore. We're talking about the collapse of our entire system of government. What made this case so significant wasn't just that Trump's team broke the law. Politicians do that all the time. It's that they were deliberately probing for weak points in our constitutional defenses. They were checking to see if a president could just ignore a judge's orders without consequences. And if they had gotten away with it, well, today it's ignoring deportation orders. Tomorrow it's ignoring election results. Once a president decides courts are optional, democracy is basically running on the honor system. So here's the real kicker, folks. When Judge Wilkinson stepped up to the plate, he didn't just swing at Trump. He hit a home run that's echoing through the halls of justice. This isn't some random liberal whining about Trump's shenanigans. This is Reagan's golden boy, a conservative superhero, basically saying, enough with this constitutional toilet paper act. What makes this truly seismic is that Wilkinson's stance could be the first domino to fall. If other conservative judges get inspired to choose their robes over their MAGA hats, Trump's favorite strategy of delay until everyone dies of old age might actually fail.